Hey YouTube, what's up? So today I'm going to show you guys how to make the simplest homemade gun that you can make for around 20 bucks. It's very simple. I even have the receipt to prove it. And I will show you that momentarily. So what you need, your supplies are a piece of wood for the stock, a copper pipe of your choice of diameter, which would be also the caliber, and your choice of length, a soda bottle or equally durable plastic bottle, a few of these clamps, which I'll get to in a moment, a valve, some support for your scope, a rail, and a scope, and a bike valve with some silly putty. Okay, so first of all, I made this gun a few years ago, and I managed to save one of the receipts from when I bought it from the Home Depot. If I zoom in here, the Home Depot, bought it on December 13th. I bought some putty for $5 and a couple clamps for a few bucks, and that came to $11.56. I think the pipe cost about $3 maybe, and the valve cost about $5 or $6, bringing it to a total of about $20. The wood was free because it was in my garage, and then I had the materials necessary to make this gun. Okay, so let's start with the stock. Now the wood was free because it was in my garage, and you can get any piece of wood. It's pretty self-explanatory. The wood was about, I think it was a 2x4, and then I just basically, with a pencil, I drew out the outline of the stock I wanted to make, like that. You can do however you want, any kind of style you want, and basically I just cut it out from there with a saw, and that was my stock. And that was the base. So after that, what I did was I tried to figure out how I would fire the projectile. And so I figured the simplest way, without any major sophistication, again, I know there are so many different, complicated and complex ways to make a homemade air gun, but this is, again, the simplest of the simple for the cheapest amount of money you can buy. So what happened was I found a ball valve. It's a simple plumbing ball valve right here. I think it costs $5. Just ask someone at Home Depot where the ball valves are. And I got a 1/2-inch diameter ball valve. Now I got a 1/2-inch diameter ball valve because I wanted this gun to be a 50 caliber sniper. So for it to be a 50 caliber sniper, you need a 50 caliber diameter barrel. So I got a 1/2-inch diameter copper tube. I think this was a little bit longer. This tube, the copper pipe was about, I don't know, 4 feet long, I think, so I cut it to about, I think, a 28-inch barrel length. So it's a short barrel, but, it does a trick. And then basically all I did here, there's no putty really necessary. I mean, you could put it on if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You just screw it literally right inside the ball valve. It fits very, very snugly right in there. Okay, and then that's 1/2-inch diameter and a 1/2-inch diameter. Okay, from there I needed something to propel the projectile out, so I got a soda bottle. Actually, more specifically, this is a San Pellegrino mineral water bottle, because I think my dad drank it, and so I just borrowed it from him. It's actually a really good size. I like it because it's not fat like a lot of the soda bottles. It's long, it's longer than the soda bottles, plus it's a little thinner, which is what I like, so it holds basically the same amount of air. So I got that, and I also had to make sure that it was 1/2-inch diameter so it would fit inside the other end of the ball valve, which it was. So when you're looking for a soda bottle or a plastic bottle, whatever, however big you want it, which means however much power you want, make sure it fits in here. Now it fit, I got it past about the first ring. You see the first ring right here? After that it wouldn't really go any farther, so it was very, very snug. And so at that point, you have to put something to seal it. Now tape isn't going to do the trick, obviously, because there are so many holes in tape, especially duct tape. So I got silly putty, and this is the package it came in. Here's a silly putty. I used that much already, and it's just for that and the end part, which I'll get to in a second. It came in this package. You can get the specific one, or I'm sure any kind will do just fine. And basically I just put it around, wrapped it around. It's nice and thick. Right now it's rock solid. And you make sure, this is very, very important, guys. I know once you put it on, after an hour it might seem dry, but really try to wait a day for it to dry, because you really want to make sure there's no holes in it, and then because so much pressure is coming from here delivering the projectile out, and you just don't want any holes to seep, any air to leak out. So make sure it's rock solid, and so there's no, if you have to, even wait 2 days and put a second layer around it just to make sure you fill in all the gaps. So essentially my power plant is made. Oh, I forgot a quick important step. Before you do what I just said, before you do that, you have to insert a bike valve. Now you can get a bike valve, I'm sure, at anywhere, like an outdoor store. I'm sure a bike store would have it. What I did was I went to REI, and hold on one second. And instead of just trying to cut off a straighter bike valve from a regular bike tire, I just bought this thing. It came with a tire in it and this straighter valve. Straighter valve is your standard valve you see on any bike, and it's the best one you can get. It came with all this, the tire tubing. Basically, I think this is where I cut it. Yeah, the straighter valve was here, so I cut it off and I made it. It's right in, if you can see it right in there, that's the valve. And what I did was I fed it in through here first with like tweezers, like long tweezers if you have it, and put it all the way in here. Now once you get to here, you have to, this is pretty thick at the bottom for the plastic bottle. We're going to pretend that this soy putty isn't here for a second. What you want to do is drill a hole inside here, the middle, and that's where you feed the bike valve in through. Now you don't want to make the hole too big, because then the valve will be loose and you will need to use more putty. So I made it just big enough so it fits snug, just like all the other parts did. So it was tough to get in, so it fits snugly in. And of course you have to put as much putty as you can on this side, because this is where you're going to be doing a lot of moving and twisting, attaching your pump in, pumping it in. And so you really want to make sure this is nice. Here, if I move the camera, it's nice and sealed up with putty. As you can see, I put 2 different layers. I made sure all the crevices were filled in with putty, and again, wait a day the first time you put it on, then another day to make sure it's, again, rock solid. And now you have an airtight seal at both ends, so you know that all the air you put inside here is going to push that projectile out. Now essentially, once all that dries, you essentially have your gun. But you can't shoot a gun without any sights, so here's where you can get creative. At first I had a front sight. I just put one of these clamps on as a front sight. It was actually kind of really primitive. I put it on at the front, and at the back it was cool for a little while, just like the plank and stuff. And but that was getting kind of boring. I wanted to hit targets long range more, and so I put a scope on. Now this is again the purpose of the video is to show the cheapest way and easiest way to make it. This is that's probably the simplest way to put a scope on. I'm sure there are much more sophisticated ways, like you put a clamp here and then add another rail here to put it on so it's steady. But the scope is very steady right where it is. Basically, I took a piece of wood, no thickness, regular piece of wood, cut it about, I think that's about 2 inches maybe, by about 2.5 inches. Put it over there, and I took 2 clamps, these 2 screw clamps things, and I put them together to make one really long clamp. And what I did was I secured this is a rail right here from another one of my guns, my air guns. I took them off, and I secured it with electrical tape just to keep it on. And then I put this now new piece on here, and I clamped it down with the clamp. And now essentially it doesn't move. It doesn't move. Scope doesn't move. It's steady. And then obviously I put the scope on, tighten the rings, and it's good. I mean, obviously if you were to take a hammer and start hammering the scope, and it would probably move a little bit, but I don't think anyone would want to do that. So for the most part, it's steady, it's secure, and I'm not going to move it, so it's accurate for me. But there are many other ways I'm sure you guys can think of that can that can make it even more steady. So after I set it in, it was pretty good. And for ammunition, I experimented a lot with ammunition. I went to obviously this is a 50 caliber because it's a 1/2 inch, so I have to use a 50 caliber bullet. Didn't order any lead balls or anything. I just didn't really want to pay so much for it, and before I experimented with something else. So I got these marbles at like the local arts and crafts store. I don't know if you can hear that. It's pretty heavy. Like if you drop it, it's heavy. I mean, but it took me a while to put them in. As you can see, that one went in pretty easily. So this marble may not be a good fit, but this one, like, see how this one doesn't go in? You have to kind of push it in. That means it's a good marble because it'll fit snugly, and when the air pushes through, all the air will be behind the bullet, propelling it out instead of seeping on the side like for a thin bullet like this one. Even though they're all the same size, I had to go through the entire bag of marbles to make sure I found the right ones. And I think more than half of them fit well down here, and so that's what I have. That's what I'm using for ammunition. Again, this is kind of like a muzzle loader. You would just take like a rammer and just push it down. And again, be careful. The only way to get it out is to fire it out. Actually, you could unscrew this because this isn't silly puttied in, but it is airtight. So you could actually unscrew this and just like push it out, and the bullet will come out if you don't want to discharge the weapon. So that's that. Also, I've made this into a shotgun using these BBs. Regular copperhead BBs for your BB gun. I took a paper towel. Again, this is the cheapest way. I took a paper towel, and with the paper towel, I kind of, hold on, I'm just put the camera down. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, with the paper towel, I kind of cupped it in my fingers like this. You see that? Kind of cup it, as deep as you can. Then I poured all the BBs inside here, as many as I could fit, up until it was at the top. And then I made it nice and tight, like a wad. Took it, held it tight, put it in here, stuffed it all the way down, and now I have a shotgun. A shotgun with a scope. Again, and it was so much fun. You just shoot it, knock down like 4 cans at once from like 20 feet away. It was really cool. Or you can take the scope off and throw some. Again, be careful of your surroundings, all the gun safety and everything like that. I don't want to get in trouble. Just make sure you know where you're shooting at. You can throw a can in the air and shoot it down. It's really cool. Obviously, the thing that stinks about it, you have to fill it up each and every time. But hey, this is the simplest gun. This is, say, if you want to do something fun, you want to have some fun plinking. It doesn't take that long to fill up. It's a very small bottle and it's plastic, so, but it still packs a punch. So this is very powerful. With the marble, put about 1.5 inch hole in a 2-inch piece of wood from about 30 feet away with the marble. So it's pretty powerful. So I haven't yet recorded the velocity for this, but I will, and I'll post a video for you guys. I'll link it with this so you can see what that's like. But as far as like hunting, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this will hurt somebody, that's for sure. I just don't know. I don't advise hunting with it. I mean, it's up to you. I like it for target shooting and because it's fun. And again, this basically acts as your trigger, of course. So I would hold it like this. So kind of like pretend my left hand is on the foregrip. And I would just shoot it like this. One fell swoop, really quick. And then all the air would be discharged and fire. If you do it slow, the bullet's not going to go anywhere. All the air is just kind of. You want to do it fast, like that. And then all the air is gone, and you get the most powerful shot you possibly can. Alright guys, that's it. Please rate, comment, like, dislike, tell me what you think. If you want any tips about anything, what I did, where I bought stuff, how I did stuff, please let me know. Again, this is the simplest version of any kind of homemade gun you can make. I know I could probably make a more complex one. I'm sure you guys probably have made more complex ones. But again, this is just for informational purposes and for you guys to have fun. Alright, so rate, subscribe. I do videos like this all the time. And post a comment about anything. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.